And good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the We Believe Digital Studios in downtown Jackson, Mississippi for our weekly Monday night Sizzling in Mississippi show. A white man and a black woman at the crossroads working together, trying to share with you all these things that are going on that in the broad light of day nowadays. No run around with hoods in the nighttime. Things are happening in the broad light of day, and we just want to talk to you about these things so we can inform people and stay focused on the issues. Always glad to have you joining us. We have a call-in number, 1-800-492-5186, or jump in the chat. We'd love to have you view our program on YouTube as your first choice. If that can't happen, we're available on Facebook and available on WeBelieveDigital.com. And my name is Chris Young, and alongside the lovely and always brightly dressed Maati, Jone, Primm. How are you this evening?
Doing great. How are you, Chris?
I am limping along. You know, when you get up in the Middle Ages, you really got to watch where you're walking, because I just stepped right into the bottom of a, what do you call it, a hassock or like an ottoman thing with these solid oak feet on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know if my left foot's broken or not, but I've been hobbling around for days.
Oh my goodness.
The black and blue started at the pinky and it's working its way up to the second toe.
Oh my goodness,
So,
ouch.
Ouch is right. Just bruised up, but here we are. That's no kind of sizzling compared to the stuff we're talking about tonight.
Absolutely.
And you're going to get us kicked off with we have a 60th anniversary, right, of the
We do.
the bombing.
Yeah, the bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. This was something that happened September 15th, so this Friday we'll see that this has been 60 years since then. The last parent passed away, I believe it was last year, who was Denise McNair's mother, Maxine McNair, and Mrs. McNair and her husband, Christopher McNair, were two very prominent parents who we saw most of the time when they would come back and commemorate, this tragic event, the act of terrorism, where it was the local Klans member in Birmingham that bombed this church on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, right before the service.
Right.
Just no regard whatsoever.
None.
It boggles the mind. I guess the reasonable mind can't really fathom
Right.
something like that. And then 60 years.
60 years it's been now. And there's also what never really gets mentioned are the two young male children who also perished that day. One was both of them were shot. Virgil Ware, who was just 13, and Johnny Robinson, 16, who was shot by a cop in the back.
In the back.
Right.
And he was 13?
Johnny Robinson was 16 and Virgil Ware was 13. And they never received any iota of justice. No one was ever convicted or even really looked for. In their cases, the policeman that shot him in the back, made up a cockamamie story. Well, he was throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Is what they said about Johnny Robinson.
Yeah,
but
right before church on Sunday.
Yeah. This was actually in the evening time that the two young men, and they're not even men, I mean, they're boys.
You're right.
Yeah, they were boys. And they were killed, murdered that day. And it's amazing how you can just, the heat and the hatred of that day still raged on even in the evening, and they apparently thought that injuring 14 people, taking one young girl's eye, along with murdering her sister, wasn't quite enough, so they went back and murdered two more children.
Just, and if there was some kind of way we could look back and say, that's the kind of thing that happened 60 years ago. And we lived in a day today where that kind of thing just didn't happen.
Right. But we can't say that. Yeah,
we can't come close to saying it.
Right, that was then and this is now.
No.
That was then and it is now. That's all we can say about it.
And then was it 2015, June 9th maybe, 2015, Dylan Roof walking into Mother Emanuel
Church,
AME Church in Charleston,
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
murdering 9 people during a Bible study.
I was going to say prayer group, Bible study. Yeah.
Well,
Bible study.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, being Baptist, I can tell you, and their AME, which is very similar, is that any Bible study is going to have a lot of prayer too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's both of those. And to think that he sat there and thought about it, and he was like, these people are being very nice to me. I mean, I really shouldn't even do this. And he thought again to himself, no, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to murder 9 people in a church who have done nothing but give me kindness and welcome me warmly.
It's just staggering to think of. It never ends. And of course, today too, is our 22nd year anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attack.
Yes.
And I was watching I believe it was from a couple of years ago. 60 Minutes had done a expose on the firehouses, and I can't watch it without sobbing. It's just it's hard to take in, especially the attack in and of itself, but the hatred involved in that. But then also these, groupings of men, of firefighters,
right?
Mostly men, from what I could tell in the pictures, anyway. They did have one female firefighter that was supposed to be part of a certain group that, met their demise.
Yes.
And this guy had asked to swap a shift with her.
Oh.
And she said, "Sure, I'll do it." And she never saw him again.
Wow.
But for those guys, knowing the first collapse had already happened, and for them to know what they were walking into, and they still they asked the top dog, did anyone question? He said, never. They just took the orders.
Yes.
Just go
and did
go
what
in.
they needed to do.
Try and establish an escape route for those, 300, 600 people from in a certain area.
Right. Do you remember the elder black woman who, a crew of firefighters, they were saving, and they were coming down some stairs, a stairwell, and she got tired and she sat down. She said, "Just go on without me. I can't go any further." And they said, "No, we're not leaving you." And as a result of that, everything kind of collapsed around them. And because she sat down when she did, it saved everyone's life. They were spared.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing story I've seen.
It was powerful. I know I really like to make a trip up there and see so much has changed and been rebuilt, and the memorials and all, and I really like to make a trip up there and see that.
Yeah.
So 22 years ago today.
Yeah.
And I remember too, and I just, a little personal privilege that still annoys me in some way. Sometimes I think about it and I think you did the right thing, and then other times I think I didn't do the right thing, and that was that, at the time I was coming up near the tail end of my active duty military career, and I was running substance abuse, mental health groups in a big inpatient rehab in Norfolk, Virginia, and I had gone in the break room right before the group started. The patients were starting to assemble in the group room, and I had gone in the break room just moments before and saw the footage, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. And then people were starting to kind of try to migrate into the staff break room, and I just told everybody, let's get in the group and let's have group, and I just like the instinct was just to keep on doing what you're doing, but I wasn't present, and neither were they. It was just so I don't know.
I mean, that went on for days.
Yeah.
That went on for days. I remember I decided that particular morning that I was going to sleep in, and I got a call, and said, "Oh, there was a plane that hit the tower," and I thought, okay, well, I was just thinking maybe it was almost like a crop duster plane that just accidentally something like that, and then while I was on the phone, the next plane hit, and they said the next another plane has just hit the Twin Towers. I was like, okay, I'm up,
Yeah.
and it was, I mean, for days it was going on. I have a birthday that's 4 days after 9/11, and we were still just, the whole atmosphere, and I wasn't even in New York, just the whole atmosphere in America was just so shocked. Yeah, everybody was just kind of walking around, just everything just seemed off kilter, like almost like a dreamlike state. Everyone was feeling something and not knowing exactly how to address it. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know if, I know we've always had our problems. We've always had our moments of shame, behavior in this country. This, well, the experts like to call it an experiment in democracy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we've ever quite been the same since then. And I think just things continue to get that sense you were talking about, that feeling, what's going to happen next. You know? When I find myself, situational awareness, I find myself now looking out, keeping an eye on things that I would have never thought twice of doing that before.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So you've been more cautious, you think, since then?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember it just being, and when I say a dreamlike state, not that anything, it wasn't pleasurable.
Yeah.
It was just that it's like if you think back when you have a dream, how everything looks kind of normal, but yet off kilter.
Yeah.
And that's really what it just felt like. Yeah.
Like in another world.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were almost in a parallel world.
There was another world, Maati, 57 years ago. 57 years ago. No, I'm sorry, that's not right at all. I'm looking at the wrong picture here. But the integration of schools in Grenada. White mob attacking the black students as they tried to integrate schools in Grenada, Mississippi in 1965. So, I always take a look at that Equal Justice Institute calendar.
Yeah.
They continue each, and they have layers of things. It's not this, in other words, this calendar is not going to be it's not gonna, they have layers and layers of things that happen on these given days in each year.
There's so many terrorist acts that they don't have to find themselves really repeating anything.
Not at
That's
all.
amazing. And Grenada, and see, they don't talk about that. This is what we're not getting in terms of history.
Yeah.
These stories aren't told.
Well, they flipped the script on it too. Now they're using, as we've talked about before, that term woke.
Yeah.
And then the word indoctrination.
Right. Yeah. And they use it almost like it's profane. To walk around and be conscious of what's going on in the world, and being aware that there is unfairness and injustice, and somehow doing that makes you this kind of person that for some reason is worthy of being vilified.
Wasn't it Reagan with the trickle-down economics?
Yes,
Ronald Reagan?
Yes, it was. Right.
Total farce.
Yeah.
And now, so now, are kids today gonna look poorly on their great grandfather or great grandmother because she voted for Reagan or something? I mean,
I don't think they'll ever really know.
Well,
It's like this erasing as we go.
Rewrite,
as we
rewrite.
go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just defies. When I think indoctrination, I think of don't touch the hot stove.
Right.
You better be in here by the time the street lights come on.
Right.
Which means you might have a 1 minute leeway period after they come on.
Right.
Respect your elders. Just the basic stuff. When I think of indoctrination, but they want to, to tell, the story of racism in this country, and banning critical race theory, a theory.
Yeah, that's not even taught. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Right. It's not even taught other than outside of like law schools and
here in Mississippi
schools.
With the aptitude that we have.
Yeah.
Over there at the, on high and President Street over there at the Capitol,
Yeah.
They don't even define what critical race theory is when they produce the bill to ban it.
Right. It's so senseless. And so what it does is it just frightens publicly funded educators.
Sure.
Because they're wondering, well, what can I teach and what can't I say?
Yeah.
And so what happens is it's a general silencing.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever I say, I certainly can't make white people feel bad about what they've done in the past.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff.
When we're talking about history and we can't look at it through the lens of how does racism affect history? How does racism affect public policy? How does racism affect our daily lives? Can't do it. Not here.
How do you grow? I mean, do we learn from our mistakes?
I was wondering on the way over here, I was listening to public radio, and they were talking about the state of California looking at reparations for black people and their black residents or citizens of California. And in order to do that, they said they have to teach and talk to people about what the effects of racism back then, how it has gone forward to affect the people who are living now. Mm-hmm. So we can never have that conversation in Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Can't do it. At least in the formal settings.
Right.
Now, we all know that anything and everything, people with the right-minded people are going to continue to teach the truth about
but where?
things. But in other environments, you know.
But where?
In leadership academies, in churches, and but not in the formal education system.
Right. But I mean, all of these other places actually have their own strategies, their own programs right now. So then they're going to have to figure out how do we incorporate history.
When are we going to start seeing the testing of the law? When are we going to start to see people say, no, I have to teach this.
Right.
Responsible educators.
Yeah, and they'll be fired.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, they just had one guy right up at Ole Miss. They tried to, but it wasn't specifically with critical race theory, but something about gave the students the day off or something to
contemplate
some activity going on campus and all.
Okay.
And apparently he was out there with some of them, and then the state auditor got involved because he said, well, that's taxpayer money, and you're one day.
Yeah.
One day in the calendar year.
Yeah.
Well, we blew right past that first break, everybody. We're going to dip out for a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with you.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Hey, have you heard about the Accountable Card? It's more than a card. It's a complete mobile banking service that's accountable to all of us. You'll get a no credit check debit card good anywhere Visa is accepted to make purchases, deposits, even get or transfer cash with an FDIC insured bank account managed from our smartphone app. There's even a pre-approved no interest line of credit if you need emergency cash. So why go to the bank when you can have ours in your pocket? Get accountable. Just download our app today.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Believe Digital Studios and the Sizzling in Mississippi show every Monday night at 6:30 Central Time. You know, Maati, I saw this article about this, the pictures caught my eye. This 21-year-old Takia Young, same last name as me, and she's suspected of shoplifting. Now, I saw on videotape on NBC4 channel, they showed the video from inside the store. It sure as heck looked like she was shoplifting. Not one bottle of liquor or some type of spirits, but three helpings into the purse.
Sure.
So, but I was just trying to figure out, is that grounds for murder? I mean, how do you...
It's not a capital offense to shoplift. I thought it was a misdemeanor.
7 months pregnant. 7 months pregnant. Black. Got 2 sons already, 3 and 5 years old.
Motherless children now.
Motherless children. I don't understand how a weapon could have even been drawn in that you know.
Not necessary.
I wonder if we could. Wouldn't it be? I'm suspicious of this whole AI thing, but maybe the AI could do some kind of search for us and tell us how many white people get murdered by police for suspected shoplifting.
None. Do we need artificial intelligence? Do we need any at all?
Just a way to search,
right.
To be able to say we comprehensively search the databases or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
It just doesn't happen, does it?
Right. No, it doesn't. She's unarmed. What's the point? What is the point? Now you have 2 children without their mother.
Right. Blendon Township, Ohio. That happened on August 24th. Believe it was at a Kroger shopping center.
Wow. That's awful.
It's horrible. And then we have this. Then we have this story, Maati, that came out just a couple days ago in The Guardian. This 10-year-old black boy arrested, placed in a cell for urinating in a parking lot. 10-year-old boy. Apparently, his name was Quantavious Eason. Apparently, his mother, LaToya, was inside getting some advice on some housing issues. He tried to get in the bathroom, get into the building to get into the bathroom and couldn't, and ended up going back out and just had to go. And he went in the parking lot and was spotted, and they put him in the police car, and then they eventually put him in a cell. 10 years old.
Yeah.
And that's in Senatobia, Mississippi.
Not surprising.
They're sizzling.
The same place,
Same place. Go
as Mr. James Meredith, where he was shot.
Mr. Courage,
Yes.
indomitable courage,
Yes.
knew it
Yeah.
was going to happen.
Yeah, something was he could.
Something was gonna happen.
Right.
He
Yeah,
knew.
and Senatobia is right there.
Yeah.
At the state line.
Yeah.
So he crosses into Senatobia, and he gets shot, and the gunman is still. He was in the bushes, hiding in the bushes, and the sheriff said, "Come out, and go on home."
Sometimes I get annoyed, Maati, when I hear some black people say, I hear it on the radio quite a bit,
Okay.
why are these people making everything all black and white?
But see, that's what the lack of critical thinking does. When you can't analyze a problem, and when you're told over and over in public education to ignore these things, well, it could happen to anybody. Well, they should have done such and such. Well, what you do is when a cop comes up to you, you just say, whatever you want me to do. Well, first of all, you're assuming that you have enough time to say that.
Right.
Right, because little Tremere Rice, 13
Yeah.
years old,
Yeah.
didn't have time to say
The
that.
one with the fake gun, right?
Right, the fake gun, the toy gun playing in the park by
Yeah,
himself.
yeah.
There's nobody
Yeah.
in danger of
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
even if it, even if it were a real gun, there's no one around. And 3 seconds after the cop pulls up, Tremere Rice is dead.
Yeah.
He has been murdered by a cop.
Yeah.
And so I want to know how anybody can I guess they're not using their brains, obviously, but this is what happens when you ban thinking, which is what this is, the anti-CRT.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, anti-critical race theory, teaching of it. This is what we have. We have people who cannot think. This is the problem. This is not only the problem today. Think about how larger a problem it's going to be in the future. Because right now, at least we've had some semblance. This anti-CRT bill is new.
Yeah.
So it's not really affecting us, in a major way right now. Mm-hmm. But come 10 years from now, when you have people who haven't thought critically for 10 years, how are they going to examine any acts?
And how many 10-year-old white boys are put in a jail cell
Right, for anything.
for urinating in public?
For anything.
For anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, you had mentioned the mass murderer of the 9 souls in South
Dylann
Carolina.
Roof, yeah.
Dylann Roof, right?
Yeah.
They took him for a hamburger.
Yeah.
You must be hungry after murdering nine people in a church. Yeah. We'll take you to get a hamburger.
Makes me think of the one up in, wasn't that Minneapolis?
George Floyd?
No. Where the guy, where the guy came across the state line, young person. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name. But,
He comes across the state line?
shot a couple of different people when those riots were going on.
Oh, that
up there.
was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yes,
Wisconsin.
yeah, Rettenhouse was his.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the police were giving him preferential treatment,
Right,
from the video that I saw.
right, and he's walking around with an
Automatic,
assault,
yeah.
an assault weapon,
Yeah.
but here's this little 10-year-old boy who isn't allowed into the building to the restroom, so he has to go someplace, and he relieves himself and gets arrested. He's treated like a pervert, arrested, taken to jail.
The mother's attorney is saying that a federal lawsuit is forthcoming
Good.
if they don't fire that cop.
Yeah. Well, they need to do more than that. They need a lawsuit regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was more than one. It was a couple of different officers involved.
So no one had a better judgment to say, wait a minute, let's not just, this this is
Right.
a child.
Right.
Yeah. But see, oftentimes, and they've done studies on it, oftentimes black children are not seen as children,
Yeah.
as harmless children.
Yeah. The color always comes first.
The racism comes first.
And all the all the stereotypes that come with that.
Yeah.
We never get a chance to have them dispelled.
Right. But I'm trying to figure out what kind of stereotype can you imagine on a 10-year-old boy? How much?
Emmett Till was 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It just,
how much?
And I've got a nephew out in California that's 9. He's going to be 10. And in
Yeah.
fact, I just got a picture earlier today of him holding the baseball bat up.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah,
think,
Little
wow,
League.
he's
Yeah.
getting up there. You know, but
Yeah.
he's a kid. He's
Yeah.
a little kid.
Yeah. But he won't be considered.
No. He's
a
white as can be.
perpetrator.
Oh,
Yeah.
he glow in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just tough stuff. So that story again came from The Guardian. If you want to go to the Guardian website and look at that, that story was just published two days ago. And Maati, I saw an article that came out yesterday, insider.com. Not typically maybe a source that I'm doing a lot of reading from, but in any event, I know you'll be shocked to hear there's a whole lot more going on with that Sheriff Brian Bailey than we've talked about already on this program.
All right.
You know, in previous episodes.
Sure.
In March, a state judge denied him qualified immunity for the excessive force in the wrongful death of Pierre Woods, mentally disabled black man who police shot and killed in 2019 in Rankin County. And they go into all kinds. Bailey go into all kinds of details about he wasn't there when they actually started the shooting. Well, did you give the order to stop the? It's just ridiculousness.
Yes.
And he's trying to what's the word? Squirm.
Yes.
Trying to squirm out of responsibility.
Yeah.
Which is really antithetical to leadership.
Absolutely.
So if you have somebody that's the top dog, the top sheriff, they're responsible when their people succeed, and they're responsible when their people fail.
That's right.
That comes with the turf. That's why they get the big bucks.
That's it. Yes.
And so now that is before the Fifth Circuit.
Yes.
And it's not the first time tonight we'll speak about the Fifth Circuit. But Bailey, the state judge denied his request for qualified immunity, and Bailey appealed the decision to the Fifth Circuit, which caused the lower court's last month issue to have an indefinite stay on it pending the decision of the appeals court. So assuming that they'll in panel, a panel of 3 to look at that case, and see what happens with that. So there's been.
But who are the people going to be? Who are the 3 chosen from Rankin County residents?
No. In the Fifth Circuit.
Okay.
But still.
Okay.
But still, when I've seen the photographs.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah. The mentality matches.
So they say 5 people also died after interactions with Rankin County deputies during an 8-month span in 2021.
Oh, goodness.
So long before this recent,
Yes.
goon squad,
Right.
Eddie Parker and
Michael Jenkins.
Michael Corey Jenkins, long before that, in 2021.
Yeah, the
And-
attempted rape of them. Now, this could have been absolutely prevented had they dealt with the fact that there have been 5
Yeah.
people who died
Yeah.
in police custody.
And the insider.com sued the Rankin County Sheriff's Office for the records, and they won.
Oh, wonderful.
And so they had to produce the records, and they found out, of course, that 2 of the convicted goon squad officers, Elward and Deadman, were also present during Woods' shooting in 2019. So they're present for the torture in January 24th of 2023, and they were present at the shooting in 2019 of Pierre Woods. And the Insider had also reported the deaths of Damian
Cameron.
Damian Cameron, Corey Jackson, and Trevor McKinley. And so, and another in December 2021. Now, we haven't talked about Corey Jackson or Trevor McKinley, I don't believe, on this program before.
No, we haven't. We talked about Damian Cameron.
And in December 2021, while responding to a drug overdose call, deputies also shot and killed Robert Rushton, who police said was armed with 2 knives. This is what Insider.com is saying about that sheriff's department. And a 5th man, Adam Coker, died in the Rankin County Jail in September 2021.
Yeah.
So it's a lengthy list, all on Brian Bailey's watch.
Yes.
And the state judge, I have to tell you, when I first read that, I went back and read it again. A state judge denied qualified immunity. There's a part of me that didn't want to believe that they would deny qualified immunity.
Right.
I guess I've been here long enough now to be shocked by something like that.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah, and so where does it end with this sheriff's department? Now, the thing with this Brian Bailey, he's running unopposed for re-election in November. We already have the $400 million lawsuit,
Right.
filed by Malik Shabazz
Right.
and Trent Walker,
Right.
and company.
Right. Right. The attorneys on the case.
And then also the whole issue with Damian Cameron has now been elevated to that same level.
Yes.
So it's only a matter of time before
Right.
that lawsuit comes.
Right. Yeah.
And then you have this other information being revealed, but that I didn't see one word about in our local broadcast stations.
No, they don't talk about that.
But it's just one county over.
Right. And it's part of their area. I mean, this is Metro Jackson we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so, just last month we reported, both of us attended this national summit on police brutality and injustice that was held over at the Pilgrim Rest Church in Brandon. You had now he'd been presidential candidate Cornel West was there. Tavis Smiley was on hand as just a spectator, wasn't involved in the program. Has all kinds of prominent civil rights folks that were there, community leaders, agency leaders, and lifting all this up.
Right.
Refusing to let this be swept under the rug.
Right.
And but to think of what it took for that to happen. Would we even have gotten there if it wasn't for, Michael Corey Jenkins and
Right.
Eddie Terrell Parker?
Right.
Would we
And
ever have gotten there?
Right. And especially probably Michael Corey Jenkins, because he was the one who was shot in the mouth. But the what's so shocking about all this, and what we don't normally hear, is that this was an attempted rape case.
Yeah.
Like, these cops were attempting to rape 2 grown men. It's as shocking as it is appalling. It's not even to be imagined. There's supposed to be some extra safety that men carry with them just because of their masculinity. And even that wasn't honored, which is normally assumed, It's horrific. It's amazing, and the effect that this has had on these 2 young men,
And I have to say this too, and I don't mean it in a finger pointing way, but when the first stories of that started coming out, they talked about the 5 Rankin County deputies and the 1 Richland police officer.
Yes.
Then came the whole word of the goon squad.
Right.
I've since heard from a person that I really wouldn't want to conversate with a whole lot, that's lived in Rankin County his whole life, and tell me this goon squad's been around for decades. Special response team.
Okay.
But absolutely with the full knowledge of the sheriff.
Yes.
And
direction.
but when this first came out in one of the leading, what I view as the leading paper in our area, by someone that specializes in criminal justice.
Okay.
It doesn't say white. It doesn't say white officers. It says the men are black.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the reader, and I was right at the point. I slept on it because I look up to these people, and I slept on it, and I was right at the point of emailing the editor and saying, you've got to put the word white before these officers. You don't hesitate to put the victims are black. Okay,
Right.
well, they were.
Right.
And you called it. But
Right.
the officers were all white.
Yeah.
You didn't call that. And son of a gun, if that column that was done by a criminal justice person was superseded, if you will, by the larger newspaper the following day, and there it was, white.
Okay.
They put it in there.
Okay.
So there's
My
just
goodness.
and I ask myself, is kind of bias, implicit bias baked in there.
Exactly, it is.
And even when it's a really good paper, when they're Johnny on the spot, breaking the welfare scandal kind of thing,
Right.
do quality work all the time. You never want to, you would never want to pick a finger, but that kind of thing it catches my eye.
Yeah. But that happens all the time. It's a lot of times it's almost subliminal, Yeah.
Maati, we did it again. We blew through that break. But I want to ask you a crazy question. I had this thought when you were talking a minute ago. How many, you have what you believe to be the second oldest black bookstore in the country, right?
No.
Okay.
We're the oldest.
The oldest?
Yes.
I didn't know. I didn't hear that. I never
You
heard the
didn't know
update.
that? Yeah, no,
Good job.
85 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, last month, how many white people came in there to look around and were just intrigued and chewing your ear off?
Well, they don't, no.
Not.
There weren't.
Or not.
Yeah, right, or the not part.
When you were speaking earlier, something, I don't know what it was about what you said, or me just looking at you or something, but something, and I remember the first time that I met you. And I kept coming back to the darn store.
Right.
And then, and that was months before we ever started talking about doing this.
Right, right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sometimes I'll get people from out of town.
Yeah.
That may come in, white people that may come in, and they'll spend more time, conversing with me. But people from Mississippi, white people from Mississippi, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I know if they spend any real time, then it means that they're not from Mississippi.
And you have an open invitation, don't you, to any people that would like to learn more about black history in general,
Right.
racism in America, whatever, anything
History of
within
Ferris
the bond.
Street.
You're up.
History of the
Your door's
bookstore.
wide open.
Yeah.
Any hour of the day.
Right, that's what we do.
10 to 5.
10 to 5.
6 days a week.
Yes, 10 to 2 on Saturday.
10 to 2 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Doors are wide open.
Right.
A cornucopia of knowledge.
Right. And we have the wall.
The wall.
Yeah,
The
wall,
amazing
the
wall.
history wall.
The real draw, the big, besides you yourself.
Thank you.
And then, so we'll dip out for a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with our final segment.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Hey, have you heard about the Accountable Card? It's more than a card. It's a complete mobile banking service that's accountable to all of us. You'll get a no credit check debit card good anywhere Visa is accepted to make purchases, deposits, even get or transfer cash with an FDIC insured bank account managed from our smartphone app. There's even a pre-approved no interest line of credit if you need emergency cash. So why go to the bank when you can have ours in your pocket? Get accountable. Just download our app today.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into MDOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Sizzling in Mississippi. On our final segment tonight, we're talking about a host of different issues going on here, but they all have this commonality of racism and just hideous behavior against black people from 10 years old to 12 years old and 14 years old and 16 years old. It just horrific, and it just never seems to stop. And in this final segment, wanted to share with you, just a reminder about these takeover bills that we've talked to you about so many times before, because there's been a development in the airport case.
All right.
So 7 years in,
Yes.
a final decision may be drawing closer. But I got to tell you, I know you wouldn't believe it if it just so in this airport, so 7 years ago in 2016, the came a lawsuit because the legislature had passed and the Governor Bryant had signed the Senate Bill 2162, abolishing the airport authority, the Jackson Municipal Airport Authority, abolishing the airport authority, which consisted of 5 commissioners elected by Jackson. And they're going to replace that with a regional authority with 9 members, and Jackson get 2 of them.
Right.
Now, this
Disenfranchisement.
it wasn't about cooperation, it wasn't about collegiality, it wasn't about let's form a partnership. It was about, no, we're going to abolish this and replace it with this.
Yeah.
Poof. Why is that?
Right.
Because we want to.
Right.
And we can.
Right.
And so, and it's interesting because when you Google, major airports outside city limits,
Right. Well,
we it looked to me about 50-50.
Right. Right.
I mean, I saw a list of no fewer than 50 airport, big names,
Right.
big,
Yeah.
like Logan and
O'Hare Airport.
yeah.
Right.
And about 50% of them were outside the city limits of the
Right.
city that runs the
Right.
airport.
Yeah, like O'Hare Airport is actually in a town called Rosemont. But what they do is that piece of land where the airport is, any hangars or anything related to it, like United Airlines reservation building, all of those are annexed to Chicago. And so on those particular pieces of land, the area codes for the phone numbers are Chicago area codes and not the area code of the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they do, and Chicago runs their own airport. Minneapolis, St. Paul Airport, same thing. It's unbelievable.
So Rosemont hasn't filed suit against Chicago.
No, they don't. No.
But that's what happens
Right.
here, and
Yeah.
6 years, 7 years in, rather,
Yeah.
7 years into this lawsuit, there was some rulings. So just very quickly, on May 10th, there was a ruling. They agreed with part of a decision. They went against part of a decision. One of those things. It was some form of ruling on May 10th. But then this three-person panel withdrew. The three-person panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals withdrew that May 10th ruling on August 25th, and they issued a new ruling.
Okay.
On August 25th. But then 4 days later, on August 29th, they vacated the August 25th ruling, and they took a poll amongst themselves, and the majority agreed to order an en banc review. Have this case in its entirety reviewed by the entire Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. So you're talking about 15, 20, lots of, and they have, active judges and inactive, and they have all kinds of, there's pages of pictures of who's on the court there. But as far as I can tell, that I see it listed on the Fifth Circuit website, but I don't see any date attached for when that what they call en banc hearing is going to happen. So it does appear that we're moving closer after 7 years of fighting, and that was Josh Harkins, a Republican, Rankin County.
Yeah. See, this is the problem Jackson has.
He was the lead person.
Okay. This problem Jackson has is that it's constantly being attacked from outside.
Yeah.
And it doesn't the city doesn't have time to think about what it wants to do for itself, because it's all the time it's all of this pushback.
Yeah.
How do we handle this assault? How do we handle that assault?
Right.
It's unending and unyielding.
It never ends. And and of course this year, just in terms of reminder, the HB 1020, right?
Yep.
The HB 1020, judges appointed instead of elected, and expand the Capitol Police and all this. Then the companion bill, SB 2343, concurrent jurisdiction. Go get permission from the safety commissioner or the Capitol Police chief if you want to have an event that you can't walk down President Street or Congress Street because it's adjacent to a state building, so you got to have permission first, is what that was about. Then the only thing that really died was the SB 2889 to create a new Regional Water Authority Board. And then the 1168 directing the 1% sales tax to be used. First they said for water and sewer only.
Right.
Then they amended it later on and said for broader infrastructure issues. So just a full court press in 2023. Right. But just wanted to give you that so you could correlate those two things. Lawsuit going on for 7 years over trying to take control of the airport. What's your largest economic engines in a city, whether it, and especially in our black city here, your airport, your water and sewer, your school system. Those are the major drivers of the black economy, and that's what they go after. That's what they attack.
Right.
So we'll see what happens on that. They never offer genuine help.
No.
Deliberately deny bonds. Remember, they caught the former, when he was before he became lieutenant governor, Tate Reeves, say, "Oh, we just don't vote on it." You know, when we don't want to give the bond,
right.
we just don't vote. No, I
Right.
never voted against it.
Right.
We just don't vote on it.
Right, it never comes
Just bring
up.
it up for a vote.
Yeah, never comes up for a vote.
Just horrible. And they subjugate the city and its people
Right.
at every single turn.
Yes,
We'd be
but
lost.
yeah.
We'd be lost if it wasn't for our federal courts.
Right.
The federal government and the federal courts. We would have been overcome a long time ago by these oppressors.
Right. Right. Yeah. We'd have to leave. We'd have to leave the state.
Anything else before we wrap up, Maati?
That's really it. I'm just trusting that people will wake up and be woke.
Right.
And that won't be a vulgar or profane thing to understand that someone actually is knowledgeable and aware of what's going on. That's really what woke is. It's nothing else. They try to attach all different things to it, but that's not what it is.
I was raised Catholic. And
Yes.
you know, I used to think Catholic was the biggest religion in the world. Never has been.
Wow.
Not even close.
What's the largest?
No, the largest is the Islamic faith.
See?
You know, and always has been. So I mean, it just. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't put myself in a position to be a learner.
Yes.
But if you told me no, you can't. That's the only thing you can.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Catholic good. Anything else bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't research.
Right.
Look.
Don't research.
Yeah.
You said the word earlier. Don't do any critical thinking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So see, all of that's important. Education's important. Read for yourself.
The Indians showed up on Thanksgiving Day with
Yeah.
bushels of corn
Yeah.
to give to the new settlers with smiles on their faces. That's the way it was in my history book
Yeah.
when I was in whatever grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
6th grade or whatever.
Well, yeah, they keep that, they keep that narrative going.
Right.
Yeah, Santa Claus,
Santa
station of everything.
Thank you so much for joining us. Any feedback, let us know in the chat. Give us a call, 1-800-492-51 on any hour of any day, and we'll be happy to get back with you. In the meantime, we'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday night, 6:30 Central Time. Take good care of yourselves and each other.